As you know, yesterday was the anniversary of the destruction, the beginning of the total destruction of this country. December 12th, 2000. Perry writes, 10 years ago, yesterday, the United States stood at a crossroads through the dimness of the... All right, let me start over, okay? I have an ear infection, and everything's a little bit wobbly because I'm taking one of these filthy antibiotics that I never take. And I don't get sick anymore since I started using Epicor, but this damn thing snuck up on me. Let me begin again. 10 years ago, the United States stood at a crossroads, though the dimness of the future made it hard for many to see which path led toward a brighter day and which headed toward disaster. But then a partisan Republican majority of the United States Supreme Court made the choice for the nation. At 10 p.m. on December 12, 2000, the Supreme Court issued one of its most controversial rulings ever, telling Florida that its recount of the presidential election must include all legally cast ballots, but giving the state the absurdly short time of 2 hours to complete the process. Everyone immediately understood what the five partisan Republicans, Rehnquist, Scalia, Thomas, Day, O'Connor, and Kennedy, had done. They had awarded the presidency to George W. Bush. They did this even though it was clear that Bush had lost the national popular vote to Al Gore by 500,000 votes. It also appears that Bush would have lost Florida if the full recount had been given the necessary time. Even if the butterfly ballot fiasco and other irregularities were ignored, Gore still was likely to prevail narrowly if all the legally cast ballots, those expressing the clear intent of the voters, were counted, as an unofficial tally by news organizations determined a year later. So instead of the deeply qualified Gore becoming president, the largely unqualified Bush took over, carrying with him an anti-government philosophy of tax cuts tilted toward the rich and reduced regulation for business, combined with the tough guy-ism toward the world, essentially the script crafted three decades ago by President Ronald Reagan. By virtually all objective measures, the consequences of Bush's 8-year presidency were disastrous, including massive federal deficits, an economy ravaged by reckless gambling on Wall Street, and two costly wars still hemorrhaging money and blood. Now, the piece by Perry goes on and on and on and on. It's about I would guess, a 4,000-word article. You can read it at consortiumnews.com if you choose to. But I've thought about that quite a bit, about what the right-wing Supreme Court did to this country 10 years ago. And it was December 12th, 10 years ago yesterday. It took 230-some years to get the country where it was on December 12th, 2000. It took the Bush administration, the Bush crime family, 8 years to utterly and absolutely destroy us. Destroy us to the point where I seriously doubt, as a matter of fact, I'd be willing to say it's impossible for us to ever climb out of the mess that we're in. We'll find some state of equilibrium, but the days of American empire, the days of the mighty dollar, the days of predatory capitalism ruling, American predatory capitalism ruling, those days are gone. And I think it's just a matter of time before the vast majority of Americans figure this out. I think it's going to come when the Republicans assume power the first of the year. You have an absolute drunk who cannot even conduct a 50-minute interview with somebody without falling into a sobbing state of collapse. I'm talking about John Boehner. If you have any doubts about this guy's addiction to alcohol, just watch him. Listen to him anytime, any place, anywhere. But especially when the cameras are trained on him and he starts talking about, what was he talking about on 60 Minutes, walking into an elementary school and feeling the future of the children. When you couple that with the kind of leadership that exists in the Senate and in the Republican Party, if you take a look at some of the Republicans who are going to be chairing key committees for the next 2 years, if you don't pull back in absolute horror, then you must be a stupid-ass, brain-dead Republican. To normal people out there, I just suggest what I suggest to myself and the people that I know and what is suggested to me. Make sure you have contingency plans and hold on to your ass, because what the Republicans are about to do is going to be devastating. George W. Bush set the stage. Obama, in his kind of scaredy-cat way, tried to stanch the flow, but it didn't work. And now the Republicans who have given us this mess, were apparently voted back in. There's a death wish in this country. There really is. There is a strong death wish by enough of a percentage of the people who go to the polls, especially in off-year elections, to bring about the end of this country. It's going to be pretty insane.